people are comparing me to Jesus. If you look at the historical record of what we believe Jesus to have said, his teachings, he's Gandhi light. The Bible says otherwise. In fact, a lot of people don't even listen to what the Bible version of Jesus says, weirdly enough. There's a religion named after him. But if you take Jesus the philosopher in what records we think he said, he wasn't quite as nice as people make him out to be, but for the most part, he was basically a watered-down version of Gandhi. And Gandhi is awesome. All the respect in the world to Gandhi. Gandhi is exactly as much as people hyped him up to be. Gandhi is the man. He was all about getting rid of negative emotions and just being nice to people. And I can get behind that. He was a great philosopher. Alright, let's just leave the next time the copter appears, because I'm actually throwing out my voice with all the yelling. And, you know, I'm so hungry, I think this will be the last heist. Can you please not say anything about Jesus? I'm Catholic. I will never sugarcoat my words entirely because of someone's religion. I talk on a historical standpoint, not because of me being atheist. I'm not gonna stop talking about Jesus. I'm sorry. But if you personally cannot handle people talking about your religious figure, that's your problem, not mine. I don't mean to be rude, but I'm sorry. All I'm doing is talking about the historical records of Jesus, in which case there are many, many Jesuses that were all prophets, because it was a very, very common name. It's hard to track which one said which, but for the most part, the one that's associated with the Bible, so far as we can tell, was genuinely actually a very nice guy and was very pacifist. So the one that we know the most about was pacifist. There were many Jesus prophets that were not pacifists, and there were in fact old biblical records of Jesus not being a pacifist, but so far as we can tell, those records were contradictory and not talking about the one the Bible talks about. Don't get me wrong, the Bible is absolutely full of bullshit. It's essentially a big storybook. I mean, it was publicly rewritten in the 1600s by King James and his council. It has almost nothing to do with any biblical scrolls from before the 1600s, which was not even that long ago. That was 400 years ago. However, the things we can track, which would be some of the teachings of Jesus, when you take it as a philosopher standpoint, he was actually a pretty cool dude. So, power to Jesus. Jesus was a cool dude. For the most part. He had a few outdated views, but his views were incredibly fucking progressive for the age he grew up in. Oh my god. The age he grew up in. Ridiculous that he wasn't a complete dickbag. So, there you go. Jesus. As far as we can tell, he was probably a pretty cool guy overall. But if there's someone you're gonna take philosophy advice from, Jesus is a good start. Listen to Gandhi. Gandhi's the fucking man. Alright, we're almost done. Here he is. Okay, let's go. If 5 minutes says I was born Christian, but over time I decided life was easier without religion. I know a lot of young people who were raised religious. They were taught that that was true from a young age, but dropped religion. I was never religious. Parents never really. Whenever they talk about religion, it would just be like, some people believe this, some people don't. There's no solid proof one way or the other. So I just grew up never believing in any kind of religion, because I was like other kids on the playground would be like, yeah, I love God, and I'd be like, how do you know he exists though? And they're like, the Bible said so. I was like, how do you know the Bible was right? And then they're like, because God says so, like God wrote it. And I was like, how do you know God's real if the circular logic, basically. I wasn't that articulate, but essentially I realized from an age of like when I was in grade 1 that was circular logic. I've always been a logical person in that way. I don't care about what I want to be right, I care about what's actually right. So, if you believe something else, it's totally fine as long as you're not an asshole about it. And that's why I'm not an asshole about being atheist. That's why there is a term called atheist agnostic. Because there are two separate categories of what you believe and what you know. What I believe, atheist. I don't believe there's any kind of higher power. What I know, agnostic. I don't know that there isn't a higher power, but I know that we have no proof. Atheist agnostic. People say you can't prove that there isn't a god, even though the burden of proof is on people to prove that there is one. But I can easily say that there has never been any proof that there is one. And scientific method dictates that if we can't... if it's not that we can't prove the thing isn't true and thus it's legitimate. Maybe the world is governed by a toothpick that's invisible. You can't disprove that, because part of my theory is that part of his mystical power is that it is impossible to know whether he exists or not. I have just made a hypothetical that is absolutely 100% impossible to disprove scientifically. But that doesn't make it credible at all, because it has no proof to it, so there's the stance, basically. That is why people tend to be atheist. It's not because of some dogma, although there are atheists out there that exist that believe it entirely because of dogma, which I think is ridiculous. The majority of people believe it just because there is no proof that any religion is actually true. They're all really contradictory and up in the air, so fuck it. Why believe in something that has no proof? If it turns out tomorrow in some kind of undeniable proof that God's real, like, let's say for the sake of argument, I don't know, Jewish God, Judeo-Christian God, which is actually the same God as Islam and Christianity. It's all from the same root religion. But let's say specifically the Jewish one in modern day is correct, and is proven tomorrow, then yeah, I'll be Jewish. That's fine. I'm not gonna believe in a thing that's not provably true. There's my rant. My throat is giving out on me, and you can't hear on the mic, but my stomach is growling constantly, so I'm actually gonna end the stream here. So, thank you everybody so much for showing up. Thank you for being so incredibly polite, despite the chat being very political and, religious, and well, me being very political and religious, and the also bit like talking about very political and religious things. Thank you for being so incredibly polite here. This is another reason why I love my fan base so much. So many chat rooms in the world would freak the fuck out in that conversation, where they would just be like, "Oh god, no, programmed to think this thing, I fucking hate you." I was like, "Can you prove your stance? Can you even explain your stance?" And they're just like, "Die, you don't believe what I believe." So thank you everybody for being so incredibly polite during that. I know a lot of you guys are religious of many different religions, and a lot of you aren't. And that's totally fucking fine. I don't care what you claim to be, as long as you're not an asshole. As long as you're not an asshole, I get along just fine with you. Be as religious as you fucking want, as long as you don't force it on other people. That's what I say. It's like, some people will vote and say, like, I voted for this thing because this guy's anti-abortion. Don't vote for that just because of your religion. Vote for whoever you think will lead the country best, because if you're voting for the guy who allows abortion, that's fine. You're not the one getting an abortion. You can pick to not have an abortion. You're of that religion. You have that belief. It's your choice. All you're doing is taking away the choice of other people, forcing your religion on other people if you vote for the guy who wants to ban that. Just never force your religion on other people. If you have rules in your religion, keep that to yourself. I mean, some people say, like, I don't want my taxpayer money going to that. It's not your money anymore when you pay the tax. I mean, I don't know. What if your boss at work is hardcore Muslim, and he doesn't eat pork, and he doesn't like it when people eat pork because of that, and you eat pork? Well, he doesn't get upset that when he pays you your paycheck, that you might use that money to go buy bacon. It's your money. He gave it to you. You earned it. Just like how the government, you pay them the tax, and now it's their money to do with as they see fit. It's not your responsibility. So if you're a religious person who doesn't like that your tax money goes into something that you personally don't support, it's totally okay. I really doubt that if your religion is true and your God exists, there's no fucking way your God's gonna hold it against you that that your government uses that money for things that your God doesn't approve of. I'm sure you're fine. Anyways, I'm rambling. Thank you everybody so much for coming and watching this stream. I don't know when I'll be streaming next. I'll keep you guys up to date on Twitter and on Facebook and all that stuff, because I don't know when I'm gonna have the condo to myself again. If you're watching this over on YouTube, check out the description to find the link to my Hitbox page where you can catch this live next time, participate in the chat with all these weird religious and political rants. If you're watching this here on Hitbox, check out the description, find my YouTube page where we're doing a video a day, minimum, for over 4 years now, and if you're watching on either one, check out the description or the chat in the Hitbox page to find my Patreon page where you can donate to me monthly and get rewards in return, or subscribe to me on Hitbox for $5 a month to help support me and get some more other rewards in return, such as emoticons. Thank you everybody so much for watching. Thank you for all the patience. I know it's been a long time since I did one of these streams. And until next time, have a nice day.